the heavenly Jerusalem. This name has made many people fantasize over the centuries. It is seen lying on a rock or on a huge plateau, its center just above the earthly Jerusalem. Congregations have been formed that have been waiting for his imminent arrival in Jerusalem for centuries. 21.2 And I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down from heaven from God. What does my research say? The image that evokes this city is the first geometrical construction which I discovered in 1981 and which I called the corridor of the infinite. Indeed, if this simply drawn figure evokes a three-dimensional penetration of the plane of the canvas, a corridor, once it is painted in fluorescent yellow paint with the smoothness and transparency of the airbrush, and that I add to its side reflections as they appear to me frequently in visions, it reminds of a city of modern glass building. This impression is reinforced by the addition of a bluish-white fluorescent triangle from the center to the base of the drawing, covering the lower side of the corridor. This last image evokes quite 22.1. Then the angel showed me the river of life, as clear as crystal, sprang from the throne of God and the Lamb. But, in fact, if you read the text carefully and take the trouble to update the measures given there, you see that it cannot be a real city. 21.15 Whoever spoke to me held a measure, a golden reed to measure the city, its gates and its ramparts. This city draws a square. Its length equals its width. It therefore measured it with the help of the reed 12,000 stadium. Length, width, and height are equal. Then he measured the rampart 144 cubits, and the angel measured according to a measure of man. This rampart is built of jaspers, and the city is pure gold, like pure crystal. The stadium, an ancient Greek measure, represented 600 feet, about 192 meters. The side of the city would therefore be about 2,300 kilometers on each side. That means it would spread over much of the Mediterranean and the Jordan Desert. It would be much bigger than Los Angeles, the longest city in the world, just in length. If we consider only the base, some may still believe that it could exist, but in height. Currently, Dubai is building the highest tower in the world, in which will measure 0.8 kilometers high. We are far from 2,300 kilometers. At this altitude, we will see satellites pass under its windows, totally unseeable. And then, what use could one more city have in this overcrowded world, even if it came down from the sky? Since the beginning, many researchers, especially monks, have studied this text, and in the Middle Ages, some realized that it could not be a city. But then, what could it be, they said? The gate of paradise? Did they end up making an hypothesis? This is why the full name of the painting is The Door of Life, Gate of Paradise. But how can a simple image be a door? That's because it's a mandala. A mandala is a flat geometric figure consisting of squares and circles centered and nested in each other. Various imageries accompany them. They are found mainly in India and especially in Tibet. The monks who draw them according to tradition do so in order to use them as instruments of concentration in order to reach higher planes of consciousness. This requires a great deal of effort and a long and difficult asceticism. The gate of paradise, the heavenly Jerusalem, would be the quintessence of the mandalas, the mandalas of the mandalas, the ultimate mandalas, the one that would allow a wide audience to easily access another spiritual without preparation of special belief, more or less far, more or less intensively, depending on the person. Through contemplation of this image in certain circumstances, the mind allows the consciousness, the soul, to reach or connect another dimension. Of course, the body remains on earth. As far as we are concerned, we use it twice a week to connect us to this other dimension, which provokes and directs the songs of Dream Maker. The hypothesis that the corridor of the infinites would indeed be the heavenly Jerusalem is confirmed by the precision of the human measure. What can this expression mean? What is a human measure and a measure that would not be human? This is what I noticed. When the drawing of the corridor infinite, hence of the city, is constructed and the central square is measured with a graduate ruler within the reach of human vision, it is noted that it is 10,000 times smaller than the square which contains the complete figure. But if we do the mathematical calculation, which is above the human senses, the measure is not exactly 10,000. It can be noted that in many traditions, this number is frequently alluded to. In China, 10,000 years of happiness was desired. For what reason? We never knew. But with this image and this proportion ratio, we can find an explanation. The quality of sound is not mentioned in the text, yet its association, even if it's not always indispensable, is essential since its action alone in the deep darkness allows to reach very important levels of ecstasy. It is obvious that if it is indeed the gate of paradise, the sound that comes from it must be heavenly, without blemish. Those who have contemplated the heavenly Jerusalem gate of paradise and received the ecstatic illuminations preparatory of their return to the house will be able to attain eternal bliss. A number of my visitors in the shock of the sessions engaged in confidences that they did not dare to make in their surroundings. These people, on various occasions, found themselves on the verge of death. Several described to me a bodily outing above the hospital room where they were trying to bring them back to life. They could see and remember everything that was going on there. Some saw a white light, hands, shadows, but above all, they told me that they found in my realization a number of forms that they had perceived, especially that famous death row that they recognized in the construction of the corridor of the infinite heavenly Jerusalem. The heavenly Jerusalem would not only be the gate of paradise or the 10th dimension, but also the death corridor.